Okay, good morning everyone, almost afternoon. I'm Lisa Johnson and I'm the president of the Bossier Chamber of Commerce. I thank you for coming today as we honor those within our community who have gone above and beyond these last few months as we have all worked to navigate the pandemic the best way that we can. We have hosted some form of celebration for our Patriots since 9/11. Wanting to have a way for our business community to show our support of the first responders within our community. But this year we all faced a national pandemic. So many people stepped up to help in big ways and small. And we think the work that you all have been doing this year means you're a patriot as well. Someone who cares so much for our community and country that you helped beyond measure. Please stand now as we honor our country with the Pledge of Allegiance by the Bossier Chamber's Military Relations Liaison, Katie Hawley, followed by a prayer by Father O'Kay, one of our finalists for the Patriots of the pandemic today. Katie and Father O'Kay, make your way up here, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's not going to be a long prayer, it's going to be short. I know many of us are hungry. Let us pray. God of glory, God of love, God of all blessings, you remind us in so many ways of your love and blessings. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the needs of the sick in our community. Bless those who do so much for our community. We thank you for the nourishment you give us, the food that we eat, the lives that we live, and for the simple blessings of life that we take for granted every day. We ask you, Lord, to provide for those who are hungry and lack the basic necessities of life. We ask you to bless the food for our nourishment. We pray, Lord, that you may provide for those who lack the basic needs. Continue, Lord, to bless us all and to keep us all always united in your love. In the name of God the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
You may be seated. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Father O'Kay. It is now my honor to welcome to the stage the Bossier Chamber of Commerce, Chairman of the Board and Margaritaville General Manager, Barry Regula. Barry?
Thank you, Lisa. I want to welcome all of you to Margaritaville for this great event, which I believe is the first civic event of this type in Bossier City since the pandemic got started. The Bossier Chamber of Commerce has more than 900 members representing the premier businesses in Northwest Louisiana. Many of these businesses express their patriotism by supporting one of our many Bossier Chamber programs, such as this annual Patriots Award Luncheon. We want to recognize those businesses that have sponsored today's event. Our presenting sponsor is Willis-Knighton Health System. Our awards sponsor is Shreveport Communications. Our host sponsor, Margaritaville Resort Casino. Our platinum sponsors: Capital One Bank, Citizens National Bank, Life Air Rescue. Our gold sponsors: Barksdale Federal Credit Union, Cynthia Carroll Bridges for City Court, Kilpatrick Life Insurance, AARP and Northrop Grumman as our military champion sponsors. And then you will see our silver sponsors listed in your program on your tables. And we want to give a special thanks to Gumbo Events Productions for their partnership in making this a successful event. And then also to Silver Star for providing a wonderful lunch today. Also, you'll notice in your program a thank you to Adcock Wedding and Event Florals, who provided the flowers for today's event. So let's give a round of applause to all of our sponsors. Thank you. Thank you again. And now I am honored to introduce our keynote speaker to you today. Dr. Martha White was born in New York, raised in New Orleans and Shreveport. She attended Millsaps College and LSU School of Medicine in Shreveport, where she obtained a doctorate of medicine and
I really want to thank all of you for allowing me to have a little bit of your time to speak to you, and honored in this way, such a hero to our community. So thank you for all that you've been doing. When I started thinking about what I wanted to say to all of you, the first thing that came to my mind was what a great job we in Louisiana do in stepping up in a crisis. You know, we all have our little petty differences, maybe with our own neighbor or with a rivalry high school or parish to parish, even North Louisiana and South Louisiana, and Lord, don't bring Alabama into it, right? So, you know, but we always put those aside, and never, ever is there a time when we don't stand up and say, what can I do? It's very impressive, very humbling, and awe-inspiring to watch it happen. You know, COVID-19 has really changed our reality, probably forever. We started watching it slowly move across the Far East and into Europe, Italy, and then into our own country. Came towards us in New Orleans in February. We had our first case in our area March 9th. That's the day our community really changed forever. And that was a Mr. David Langston. I can say him by name because he has stood beside me in interviews and shared his story. He was obviously very concerned and scared when he first was diagnosed. He flew through the international airport in Atlanta and had a long layover, and that's where he feels like he was exposed. Had a very difficult course, but luckily a very short course, and recovered. He asked me 1,000 questions and then became my friend and started texting me to try to support me as I went through all of the things that I did through my job and also personally. My life changed due to COVID on March 24th when my husband became ill with COVID. He's a physician. He's an ex-Special Forces, so calm, works out every day, never had a health issue kind of person. He took COVID extremely seriously. He had his clients registering from their car before there was even a lockdown on, our medical practices. He had everybody wearing a mask. He did everything right, and he still got COVID. Most likely from someone in a gas station who was standing behind him, not wearing a mask and coughing on him. So, we really do have an ownership to those around us to do the right thing. And that's the word that I've really tried to put across is our own personal responsibility every time I speak, in that it's not so much whether you worry about whether you're going to get sick, it's what you're going to do to those around you. When he got sick on that weekend, he had a bad flu. And it wasn't until the weekend until he really started having respiratory difficulties. He crashed quickly. He was talking to me, took a shower, got dressed, was playing on his phone, And within about 20 minutes, he couldn't walk down the hallway to get into the car. He was so short of breath. His pulse ox, when I got him to Minden Medical Center, was 72 on room air. So if you're in the medical profession, you know that's just almost unbelievable. Was intubated and stabilized by Minden Medical Center. They're my heroes. I didn't know what to do. I was sitting in the parking lot. Do I stay? Do I go? You can't go in with him. Didn't know what was going to happen with him. Their DON came and sat with me and took care of me until he ended up having to be transferred to Willis-Knighton. And I have a Willis-Knighton North table right here. They took care of him for me. He was terribly ill. He ended up so sick that about 5 days later he had to be transferred to LSU because he needed ECMO. And Willis-Knighton's ECMOs were all in use. So that's how bad that virus had become in our community from the 9th with our first person to the end of March, where they're so busy that they don't even have ECMO machines and we have to start moving people around. We were already closing clinics. We were already stopping non-urgent procedures. People's lives were changing. Businesses were closing. People who had just, put everything they had into their own small business were facing financial ruin. And, but they did it. They stepped up, they closed their business, they took their children home from school, and they did everything that we asked of them. It was difficult, and it's still difficult. But we realized that was what we were going to have to do if we were going to make a change in our community. When Bill became worse and he needed ECMO, it also got out into the community that he was my husband and that he was sick. And at first I was he's very private, and I thought, Lord, he's going to kill me, because it was on the news, it was on Facebook, it was everywhere. And I said, when he wakes up, he is going to tear me a new one. But I really have come to realize that was God's will. It was a blessing that the Lord used him as a tool. He used him because even our medical community at the time, like their clinics were struggling whether to close. They weren't sure they wanted to. When he got sick, it was a wake-up call. They really started saying, oh my goodness, if Bill White can get this and be this sick, anybody can get it and be this sick. So it changed their perspective. It let me be a voice for him into the community and put a face on COVID. And so I really do think it was a benefit. But David Langston, the one that asked me all those questions, he came back into my life at that time, and he called me and he said, I want to give your husband my blood. I want to give him my antibodies and help treat him. And, that had not been done anywhere in the state. It had been done for the first time ever in Houston the day before in the South. And so I called Dr. Bocchini. He said, oh my goodness, Martha, I was just talking with LifeShare. They got some protocols from Houston. Let's see if we can do this. Well, if it wasn't a miracle, David was my husband Bill's blood type, so he could donate for him. He did have antibodies, and it kind of was slow progression and dragging their feet a little bit, trying to get all the protocols in place, and I lost it to my boss. I just happened to be on the phone with him, and y'all, I didn't know, but he was in the meeting with the governor, who said, what is going on with Dr. White? And he said, what do they need? And the next thing you know, there's a blood transfusion starting for my husband the next day. And one of the things that I really wanted to be very clear is that's a huge blessing, right? To have the governor be able to reach out and say, let's make this happen. And I know how blessed I am. So we said, if this works and if this helps him, we don't want to stop it at him. And I became the leadership of a program to get donors involved, anyone who has been sick, reaching out to them, getting lists and getting them to the blood bank so that other people could benefit. It did benefit my husband. My husband got 3 rounds of plasma exchange. Each time he was not doing well, every time heal him, but it stabilized him enough that he could have more time to heal. So what an amazing story that this man that came to me for help then was able to help my husband. And they are now blood brothers. They truly are. They're good friends, and I'm just forever grateful. But at the same time that all this was going on in my life, I was watching my mother struggle. She was in Willis-Knighton North Hospital, struggle to deal with the lack of visitation because we had stopped that out of the blue. You know, one day you're there and the next day you're not. And how do you explain that? And she really, really slipped away. And so nursing homes have weighed heavily on my mind throughout this time. And we found a nursing home in Arcadia that had about a 50% positivity rate, and people were dying. And I turned to Dr. Van Cherry and said, what are we going to do? We need to be there. We need to be on boots on the ground and make a change. And he stepped up and set up a surveillance testing system where we could go in the nursing homes, test everybody, staff and residents, and move people around so you could cohort those who had it away from those who had not gotten it yet. And they were able to stop that outbreak in that nursing home within about 10 days to 2 weeks, I think, Dr. V. And so we could show that it helped. And then before you know, we had other nursing homes that were having issues asking us for help. And then we became the model for the state. The state saw what we were doing here, and they started this surveillance system throughout Louisiana. And it really has made a difference. And now we're able to use the surveillance testing to allow visitation finally. Hallelujah, right? We get to let these people see their loved ones, which they've been missing for so long. But while all this is going on with me, you know, unfortunately my mom, she passed away. She passed away the day that my husband came home. Literally the minute I drove him into my driveway, I got the call that she had passed. And I believe that she stayed on this earth until she knew he was home and safe, because she knew that I needed that. But while all this was going on in my life, I kept working, and a lot of people asked me, and in fact I got criticized a lot of times about why are you still working when you have someone who's so sick in your family. And I couldn't sit at home. You get one call a day. If you've never been on that side of it, you get one call a day, and then the rest of it you're just thinking. And my children are 19. I said, well, I'm gonna stay home for them. You know, they're in their rooms. Their mental health was their friends. And so I went back to work. And, you know, I really put myself into it, and I stayed busy, and I was overwhelmingly busy, but I was overwhelmed by what I saw in our community. You know, when I started changing what I needed to say, saying everybody needed to wear masks, we had people step up and say, you know, I have a 2-month ICU bill pending in front of me. And so I understand. I'm blessed, and I'll work through it. My husband and I will. He's still not back full time, but we'll get there. He's still here, and that's my blessing, and so I'm so thankful for that. You know, I watch people in my community come to me and say, what can I do for you? I watch people in my community come and say, thank you for what you do. I wanted to use this time to really reach out to y'all and say, thank you for what y'all have done. It is truly just mind-bending to see everyone who realizes, you know, we hear all these naysayers, right, and get so tired of it, and I get bombarded with it all the time. Dr. White, fix this, they're telling this false rumor, and conspiracy theories, and you know, you can chase it all you want, but it's a room full of people like this that make you realize how many people are just doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. So as someone who has been personally touched by COVID with my husband, with my mother, I want to say thank you for all that you have done, for everything you continue to do. And please don't get COVID tired. I know you are. I am. If I never have to say the word COVID again, I'll be, you know, drinking margaritas. But you know, we're not through with it. we're still in the midst of it. And one of the things that I didn't say when I talked about my husband, one of the things that I think we forget about, we have these amazing nurses and we have amazing physicians, but we forget about the people who are putting aside their fear and putting on their gear. They're pulling trash, they're cleaning rooms, they're serving food, they're answering phones, they're drawing blood, they're taking x-rays, they're doing respiratory treatments. All of these people, they're all part of that family that are keeping our loved ones alive. And so we need to remember them as well. I just wanted to add that to it. But I won't keep babbling, but I wanted to say, like I said, I'm so grateful for all that you do. Please keep doing it. Please keep doing the right thing. Wear your mask, social distance, use your hand hygiene. It really does make a difference. And as we're loosening our restrictions and seeing things get better, we don't want to slide backwards. We want to keep moving forward, right? So let's keep doing the things that we know will make that difference so that we can keep moving forward. Because all of those people, all of you that have stood up, you're still standing up. All of these nurses are still working, and everybody, all of our hospital workers, I should say, all of our first responders, our EMS, fire, law enforcement, all of them, military first responders, all of them are tired, and they're still standing up, and they're still doing everything. So let's keep moving forward so that maybe they can take a breath and relax a little bit. Thank you.
Not so fast, Dr. White. We want you to come back up here for a second. And we wanted to thank you for those heartfelt remarks. And we also wanted to thank you for your exceptional service during this pandemic and your exceptional service to the community during this time. So we have a little token of appreciation for you.
So much. When you work for the state, you don't get married.
We should get more.
Thank you.
Shreveport Communications has been a loyal sponsor of the annual Patriot Awards. I will now ask Eddie Faith to come on stage as we learn about our nominees and our award of our 2020 Patriots of the Pandemic. Come on up, Eddie. And Lisa is going to take it back over as the MC for this portion of the event, and I'll help congratulate these deserving nominees. Lisa?
Thank you, Barry. And I would like to also echo my thank you and appreciation to Dr. White. We know you've been through so much. We've watched you grow during this pandemic as an individual, as a professional, as a leader, and it is so greatly appreciated. And thank you for giving us of your time today. Thank you. Also want to ask that after this is over, if Dr. White, we can get another picture with you, our chairman and our award sponsor, Shreveport Communications, and our title sponsor, Willis Knighton, so we'll have all of that for the record, okay? To make the state jealous again, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, it is now our distinct pleasure to introduce to you our outstanding 2020 Patriot Award finalists. Today's finalists represent mask makers, healthcare providers, fundraisers, educators, and hard-working men and women. Today, they will each receive a token of our appreciation provided by our award sponsor, Shreveport Communications. On the gift is the finalist's name and the inscription that reads, "Thank you for your selfless service to our community during a time of great need." Finalists, when your name is called, please join us on the stage. Okay, we will honor our Patriot Award finalist in the individual category. And we've already met him, but ladies and gentlemen, Father Felix Aldarabe is the Director of Mission and Spiritual Care at Christus Shreveport Health System. During the pandemic, Father O'Kay and his team were able to help navigate the staff and patients at the hospital through this emotionally difficult time. For the families of those who were at the end of life stage, Father O'Kay and his team arranged safe visits for families with their loved ones before major health decisions were made. Christus had a strict no visitor policy at the time, but Father O'Kay's team and their leadership knew the importance of allowing family members to be with their loved ones. Father O'Kay also organized daily prayer services and listening circles for hospital patients and staff. Ladies and gentlemen, Father Felix O'Kay Aldarabe. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Beach, COVID ICU RN, Willis-Knighton. Prior to COVID, Greg Beach worked as a house supervisor for Willis-Knighton. However, he has an ICU background, and when the pandemic hit, Greg got pulled from his supervisor duties to work in the COVID ICU to take care of critically ill patients. He went without hesitation. He has cared for many community members stricken with the virus as well as Willis-Knighton employees. Greg has a son, Silas, with special needs that resides at Holy Angels that he has not been able to see in person since March due to restrictions on visiting and leaving the facility. Despite the heartache of not being able to see his son, Greg continues to sacrifice in order to help those that have been affected by the virus. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Beach. And now we have Eddie Brown with Red River Senators. When the fear level was at its highest point during the pandemic, Eddie Brown still showed up to work. He did deep cleaning and sanitization for Red River Senators. Because of Eddie, many essential businesses were able to continue operating. He completed deep cleaning for these businesses 6 to 7 days per week. A crucial part in fighting the virus is sanitation. Eddie worked hard to disinfect any and all surfaces to help keep people safe. Without his dedication and hard work, these businesses would not have had peace of mind when continuing to operate during the pandemic. For that, Eddie Brown is a true patriot. And now we will honor Richard Carter with Eastwood Baptist Church, janitorial. Richard Carter works in the janitorial department for Eastwood Baptist Church. Throughout the pandemic, Richard worked hard to clean the church's daycare facilities. He followed all COVID cleaning protocol and sanitized surfaces each and every day. Because of his hard work, the daycare center at the church was able to stay open in order to provide care for the children of essential workers that had to continue working. Richard always goes above and beyond to make sure the job gets done. The church staff appreciates his willingness to accomplish the task at hand. He never wavered on his commitment to the excellence, and for that, he also is a true patriot. And it appears that he may not be with us today, but we thank you, Richard, for your dedication. Ladies and gentlemen, next we have Bitsy Clyburn, Houghton High teacher. At Houghton High, Bitsy Clyburn teaches family and consumer science, better known as home ec, for 10th through 12th grade. What, for those old people like me, home ec? So family and consumer science for 10th through 12th grade. She has been sewing for nearly 40 years, and when the pandemic hit, she knew she had to do something. On March 19th, after getting permission from the Houghton High principal, Clyburn enlisted the help of her students to sew face masks for healthcare professionals. Clyburn created video tutorials for her students so they could make face masks at home. She inspired them to help make a difference for the frontline workers that were putting their lives on the line every day. In total, Clyburn and her students made over 40 masks. Congratulations, Ms. Betsy Clyburn. He has served as the Vice President of Risk Management of Barksdale Federal Credit Union. He began his career with the credit union in 1987 in the Information Services Department. Upon notice of the health crisis for our community, Chaz was instrumental in development of the credit union's pandemic emergency plan. He immediately began measures to ensure that the 390 employees and 130,000 plus members of Barksdale Federal Credit Union were kept as safe as possible. At a time when essential items such as gloves, masks, and hand sanitizers were unattainable, he found them. Chaz single-handedly managed the acquisition and distribution of all pandemic supplies to 23 centers and 18 departments. Congratulations, Chaz Dixon. Ladies and gentlemen, next we have Jessie Gillespie with So You Care. I think I personally know you from seeing you all over Facebook. Come on up. Jessie Gillespie is the founder of So You Care. This group enlists the help of volunteers who sew reusable fabric masks. It gained traction across the country with more and more seamstresses volunteering to help. In less than a week, the movement has already surpassed its initial goal of volunteers and masks produced. Soon, there were 3,000 plus participants cranking out more than 5,000 masks. Now Gillespie has received messages from residents of South Africa, Italy, Germany, France, and England wanting to create the movement in their own respective country. With Jessie's leadership, the group has provided thousands of masks for those who need it during the pandemic. And now we know I see her on Facebook all the time. Congratulations. Next we have Jenny Gillette. Did I say your name right? Last name? All right, Jenny Gillette, English as a second language, an ESL teacher from Central Park Elementary. Jenny sees the needs in Bossier's Hispanic community more so than most. As an English as a second language teacher at Central Park Elementary, she has formed deep relationships not just with her students, but their families as well. Those connections became a lifeline for many of those families during COVID. Jenny reached out to local churches to give her students and their families the basic necessities they needed, like food, diapers, toilet paper, and household supplies. Due to transportation limitations, Jenny also delivered these items to the families in need. In addition to this, she also volunteered twice a week serving meals at an emergency feeding site. Her giving spirit is something truly amazing. Thank you, Jenny. You can tell y'all are just regular, ordinary people not used to being recognized. And it's okay, because we're going to recognize you anyway. Okay, next is, let's make sure I didn't turn the page too much. Okay. We have Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Herbelin. I hope I said that right. Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Herbelin, Medical Readiness and Logistics Officer for the 307th Medical Squadron. Lieutenant Colonel Herbelin is the Medical Readiness Logistics Officer in charge at the 307th Medical Squadron in Barksdale. A native of Chandler, Arizona, Colonel Herbelin directly commissioned in 2001 to the Medical Service Corps in the Air Force Reserve as a first lieutenant assigned to the 701st Medical Squadron. In her role as the 307th, she is in charge of supporting medical operations and humanitarian assistance. During the pandemic, Herbelin was responsible for ensuring personal protective equipment is distributed to healthcare workers, hospitals, and nursing homes in a 5-county region, including the city of Waco. Throughout the pandemic, she has worked hard to make sure that protective equipment was distributed to those it needed the most. Congratulations. Okay, next we have Ruth Hill from Princeton Elementary. When COVID sent Bossier Parish students home in March, that did not stop Ruth Hill from taking care of her English learner students at Princeton Elementary. Ruth remained a beacon of light and took books and care packages to her students. Many of her students' parents worked in the service industry and lost their jobs. So Ruth challenged her friends to donate gift cards to help those families put food on their tables. Knowing very few of her students had internet connection, Ruth conducted a book drive to keep them reading while away from school. Though the last few months have been a time of change and uncertainty, Ruth Hill's love and concern for her students has remained a constant inspiration. Congratulations, Ruth Hill. Oh, another Bossier Parish Schools. Now we have Carla Horton, Child Nutrition Supervisor for Bossier Parish Schools. Thousands of Bossier Parish children depend each day on the breakfast and lunches served at schools. So when the mandatory school shutdown was ordered in March, Child Nutrition Supervisor Carla Horton sprang into action to ensure no child went hungry. In a matter of days, she coordinated a parish-wide emergency curbside feeding program. 8 sites were established where any child could pick up grab-and-go meals for the week. By the end of those 10 weeks, more than 180,000 meals had been served, and that does not count for the number of meals delivered to households by the Baylor Collaborative on Hunger and Poverty, which Horton also established. Congratulations, Ms. Horton. Now I'd like to welcome to the stage Wade Lovelace, Love Shreveport Bossier. Wade Lovelace is the founder and director of Love Shreveport Bossier, a media marketing group that works to help local businesses grow through donations and volunteer charity work. When the pandemic hit, Wade decided to focus on the organization's mission on helping those that were out of work. Love Shreveport Bossier began a campaign to help mothers in need of formula and diapers. They helped provide these items to 40 families so far, and maybe more since we've written this, yes, through the Unity in Our Community campaign that launched at the beginning of March 2020. Love Shreveport Bossier was able to use its social media following to raise over $8,000 to feed over 120 families for a week during the peak of the pandemic. Congratulations, Wade, and thank you. Oh, do we remember these folks? It is my pleasure to bring up to the stage Brian McCall, delivery driver. Without delivery drivers, we wouldn't have had the supplies we needed during the pandemic. Most people don't think about how their necessities get to their local stores. The answer is hard-working delivery drivers. Brian McCall is one of these hard workers. Each day, he goes to work at 5 a.m. and doesn't get home to his family until 8 p.m. Brian is a husband and the father of a 3-month-old baby girl. During the pandemic, his job has been short-staffed, so he has had to sacrifice time with his family to make sure he can get his truck loaded up to make his deliveries on time. While Brian McCall was not able to attend this event, please give him a round of applause for his service to our community. Ladies and gentlemen, a friend of mine, but no relation to this, Clint McCommon, owner, executive producer of Fairfield Studios. Welcome to the stage. Clint McCommon is the owner and executive producer of Fairfield Studios. If you've ever met Clint, then you know what a big heart he has. When the pandemic hit, many musicians and venues needed help because their livelihood was at stake. Clint came to the rescue. Through Fairfield Studios, he produced a multi-camera professional live stream concert for anyone who was affected, with special nights and performances dedicated to venues and service industry workers. He gathered together other industry professionals to add more lights, sound, and support. In total, Clint raised over $14,000 for bands, venues, and service industry workers, and seeing him all over Facebook as well. Congratulations, Clint, and thank you. Next, we'll honor Dr. Jaya McSharma, hospitalist and physician and vlogger. Dr. Jaya McSharma compassion and caring personality oozes through everything she does. You've probably seen her on Facebook as well as a blogger. As a hospitalist physician, she is on the front lines fighting COVID by treating and caring for patients. She always goes above and beyond for her patients at Christus Highland. She works hard to advocate for her patients' best interest. When Dr. McSharma is not working at the hospital, she serves as a community educator through her vlog series, Pigeonholed. When the coronavirus first hit, she was an invaluable source of information for the community with an added bit of comic relief. Dr. McSharma is a strong advocate for human rights, social justice, and is truly an inspiring voice for our community. She was also not able to be with us today, so please let's give her a round of applause for her service. Next, we have Carlos Pettis, Direct Service Professional, Holy Angels. Carlos Pettis is a direct service professional for Holy Angels, a residential facility for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. During the pandemic, the facility was short-staffed, so Carlos volunteered to train other supervisors and managers that offered to work overnight shifts. This is Miss Smart, accepting on behalf of Carlos, right? Yes. I just didn't want people to go, that didn't look like Carlos. So let's go back. Let me continue. I'm sorry. During the pandemic, the facility was short-staffed, so Carlos volunteered to train other supervisors and managers that offered to work overnight shifts. He went all over the logging procedures, temperature checks process, and each resident's specific needs. He even called when he wasn't working on the clock at night to make sure everything was running smoothly. Carlos could have just clocked out without worrying about the facility, but he felt like it was his job to continue making sure all the residents were being taken care of. Ms. Smart, thank you for accepting on his behalf. Next, we have Veronica information to help their responding unit. She obtained pertinent information that it is required for the unit's safety when deployed on calls due to the possible COVID-19 exposure. Rambo was able to get the information she needed, allowing the responding unit to get to the mother in time and to the hospital where she delivered a baby girl. Rambo's patience and professionalism helped the mother get the medical assistance she needed. Congratulations, Ms. Veronica. Thank you. Now I'd like to welcome to the stage Anna Sistrunk with Willis Knighton. From the very beginning, Anna worked to help those in the COVID unit at Willis Knighton. Anna is coming up on her 4-year anniversary working for the hospital. Since the pandemic hit, she has cared for patients in the COVID unit. They aren't allowed to have visitors, so Anna believed it was her job to give them comfort and reassurance. Even after she was hospitalized with the virus herself, Anna returned to the same unit to continue caring for patients when she recovered. It's true, she will go above and beyond to serve others. She always has a positive attitude and shows such care for her patients. Anna and her entire staff on floor 5W are truly superheroes fighting on the front lines, and we thank you for that. Congratulations. Now I'd like to welcome to the stage Clarissa Stevens, Outreach Minister for North Point Community Church. Clarissa is, as I said, the Outreach Minister at North Point Community Church, but what she does for Bossier schools and the Bossier community as a whole far exceeds her job title. When the governor ordered all Louisiana schools to close, Bossier schools had to turn on a dime and establish emergency feeding sites without the benefit of having full staffing to serve those meals. That's where Clarissa and North Point Community Church stepped in. She served as the point person and garnered volunteers from several churches in the Bossier community to staff 8 serving sites twice a week for 2.5 months. During those 10 weeks, volunteers served more than 180,000 meals to Bossier Parish children. Clarissa, we thank you. Next, we have Ladine Taylor, head nurse on COVID ICU unit, Willis-Knighton North. For 17 years, Ladine Taylor has worked as a nurse. She always has a positive attitude and is willing to help anyone in need. Currently, Ladine is working as the head nurse over several units at Willis-Knighton North, including the medical, surgical, telemetry unit, and the COVID non-ICU unit. She has been instrumental in providing their staff nurses and patients with education, clinical support, as well as emotional and physical encouragement during this ongoing pandemic. Ladine and her husband have both been victims of the virus and have thankfully recovered. Ladine donated her plasma in hopes to help others who are sick with COVID-19. She is a true hero. Thank you. We're so glad you're here. Next, we have Bob Timms with North Louisiana. He's the North Louisiana brand manager for Great Raft Brewing. Bob Timms, North Louisiana and East Texas brand ambassador for Great Raft Brewing, wanted to give back to out-of-work bartenders during the COVID pandemic. What started off as a plan to help one or two people quickly grew beyond what Timms could have imagined. He created a raffle that was designed to help raise money for service industry workers affected by COVID. The success of the raffle spurred the need for more drawings. Once the word got out, nominations for other out-of-work service staff resulted in names to be added to the list of recipients. In total, he was able to raise about $20,000 for local staff service. So, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Timms, and since he could not be here today, his parents, and I guess you're Miss Patty Timms, and Mr. Donald Timms is over there. Oh, y'all did good raising your child. Or in attendance. And Bob's mom, Miss Patty, is accepting the award on his behalf. I know you're proud. Ladies and gentlemen, next we have Katie Wilkins, RN Chief Nursing Officer for Christus Shreveport Bossier Health System. Knew she wanted to be a nurse when she was a little girl helping her dad in his practice. Today, she is the RN Chief Nursing Officer at Christus. Facing the daily challenges in her work to help her nursing team respond to the pandemic, little did she know that in her first few months at Christus, she would be preparing her team for this new virus that was spreading worldwide. As the leader of the Incident Command Center, Katie has the task of organizing notes, processes, holding the team accountable, all while managing the nurse leaders and frontline team. Katie's resilience, organization, experience, and leadership throughout the pandemic continues to make a positive impact on Christus and our community. Congratulations, Katie, and thank you. Now we'll move to our group nominations. And I'm going to begin that with, please forgive me for any mispronunciation of names, but I will do my best. Okay, here we go. So ladies and gentlemen, Barksdale's Aircrew Flight Equipment COVID-19 Mask Sewing Task Force, 2nd Operations Group Squadron, U.S. Air Force, Barksdale Air Force Base, 2nd Operations Support Squadron. In the face of COVID-19, and you will notice due to space limitations, only a few from the group nominations were able to be with us today. In the face of COVID-19, Barksdale Air Force Base identified a need for cloth masks. Fulfilling that need are the airmen of the 2nd OSS Aircrew Flight Equipment Shop, who have sewn nearly 1,000 masks, probably now more, for their fellow wingmen so far. They knew there was a need for protection for their fellow service members, and they jumped in without hesitation to fill that need. This crew had prior training in sewing, so they were perfect for the job. The group worked hard to produce at least 100 masks per day. It is because of their hard work and dedication that thousands of wingmen were protected from the coronavirus. I'll read the complete list of members of the Aircrew Flight Equipment COVID-19 Mask Sewing Task Force was Commander Officer in Charge Julian Gluck, Superintendent Jeremy Raymond, Flight Chief Nicole Rice, Senior Non-Commissioned Officer in Charge Ryan Edwards, Non-Commissioned Officer in Charge Julio Torres, as well as Todd Michael Billow, Alexis Carpenter, Lindley Esposito, Nathan Ha, Caleb Ivy, Daniel Johnson, Giovanna Jernigan, is that you? No. Is that you? Come say your name. No. David Gambon, Elizabeth Lod, Morgan Leadich, Amy Melton, Alex Noor, Clayton Regal. It's not spelled that way. Brendan Shaffrick, Aaron Smith, Laren Strong, Jack Tisdale, and Justina West. Whew. Okay. Accepting today's award for Barksdale's, do y'all remember the name? Air Crew Flight Equipment COVID-19 Mask Sewing Task Force are Nicole Rice and Jack Tisdale. Congratulations. I challenge any of you to come up here and do this, okay? All right, let's go to the next group. The Barksdale Air Force Base Medical Control Center. Please come to the stage. During the pandemic, the Barksdale Air Force Base Medical Control Center managed command and control for all COVID-19 medical operations at Barksdale. This team has worked each day to ensure the Medical Control Center is serving those in need. The team has coordinated with 23 agencies, led 397 medical personnel, and a multi-million-dollar emergency response package protecting 207,000 local members. The team has organized guidance for our senior leaders and liaised with the Defense Health Agency, Air Force Global Strike Command, and the Louisiana Department of Health Emergency Management to ensure 100% mission capabilities and 1.2 thousand COVID-19 lab tests. I'll read the complete list of the members of the Barksdale Air Force Base Medical Control Center. Major Josh Smart, First Lieutenant Erica Flack, Captain Alex Egentowicz, Captain Gregory Burford Jr., First Lieutenant Lauren Rose, Second Lieutenant Janessa Evans, Tech Sergeant Catherine Weimer, Tech Sergeant Dominique Ishman. You're doing good, thanks. Tech Sergeant Inez Hernandez, Tech Sergeant Quentin Clark, Staff Sergeant Jonathan Henry, Staff Sergeant Galisa Adams, Staff Sergeant Perry Alberin. I graduated from Bossier High School, y'all. Yeah, I learned. Staff Sergeant Amber Dahlman, Senior Airman Jennifer Parker, Senior Airman Carla Rangel, Senior Airman Kayla Rios, Airman First Class Jocelyn Gietron, Airman First Class Amber Sutton. Woo. And on behalf of the group, we have Lieutenant Janessa Evans and I'm so good tongue-tied now, Tech Sergeant, don't know that I like this being videoed over here, Tech Sergeant Catherine Weimer are here to represent the Barksdale Air Force Base Medical Control Center. Thank you, ladies, and thank you to your group. Yes, before this started, Barry looked at me and he said, yep, you got the hard part. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to recognize Barksdale Air Force Base Public Health. The Public Health Flight piloted Barksdale Air Force Base's COVID-19 response, teaming with multiple groups across the 2nd Bomb Wing to ensure that personnel as well cases to the lowest observed in 2 months during phase 2. And here we go again. Y'all ready? The full group. Major Felicia Stansel, Major Dane Newell, Senior Master Sergeant Anitra Crosby, Tech Sergeant Terry Cooper, Tech Sergeant Zell Zenekin, Staff Sergeant Frederick Reedy, Senior Airman Ryan Woods. Close enough? What is it?
Rhiannon.
Oh, is that you?
Yes.
Oh, girl. It's Rhiannon. Y'all remind me in a minute. Rhiannon. Okay, Senior Airman Rhiannon Woods. Senior Airman Darian Blue. Senior Airman Brennan Johncock. Senior Airman Cody Moss. Airman First Class Ricky Sisk. Senior Airman Akron. Yeah.
Just say TK.
TK. It is THONGCHAMLEUNSOUK. Y'all tell me. TK, right? Got it. Airman First Class Gerald Uranga. Airman First Class Tequila Wilson. Miss Catherine Williams. Miss Marcia Buckingham. Mrs. Michelle Gray. And Mr. Ryan DeWitt. Oh, she didn't have me repeat y'all's names. So ladies and gentlemen, the lovely ladies of the Public Health Department. Oh, goodness. Okay. Almost need some water. Okay, so next we will honor our next group, Holy Angels Isolation Unit. During the pandemic, Holy Angels enacted an isolation unit to care for residents who were exposed or tested positive for COVID. The isolation unit was for their most vulnerable, complex care residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The isolation team stood fearless during a critical time when no one knew if the virus was going to surge through their facility and inflict residents and staff. Together, they went above and beyond what was expected of them and stood out as leaders and mentors to others. Many staff members worked double shifts to ensure all the residents were taken care of. Their selfless sacrifice is what has helped the Holy Angels facility survive these unprecedented times. And the group that is being honored today is Julie Campbell, Director of Nursing, Tosh Bright, Lisa Davis, Savannah Graves, LaDana Harris, Trellis Harris, Amanda Hastings, Patty Presley, Tiffany Shepard, Brenda Smart, Whitney Stringfellow, Janet Woods, and Star Wilson. And accepting the award today is Patty Presley and Miss Janet Woods. Thank you. Congratulations. Next, I'd like to invite to the stage the LSU Health Shreveport COVID-19 Strike Team representatives. LSU Health Shreveport COVID-19 Strike Team worked together to protect and defend senior citizens in local nursing homes from the virus. They worked as a unit using early diagnosis and treatment tactics to keep many senior citizens out of the hospital. The strike team worked tirelessly to make sure all nursing home facility staff members and employees were tested weekly. They gave a quick turnaround for test results and helped identify and isolate residents and staff that had COVID. Many nursing home staff members believe that without the help of this team, they would still be in a crisis mode and many lives would have been lost. While we cannot call them all by name, we want to recognize these strike teams that include nurses, doctors, LPNs, medical students, nursing students, EMTs, paramedics, information technology support personnel, and undergraduate students. They worked in 44 nursing homes in Northwest Louisiana, collecting more than 7,000 specimens for COVID-19 testing per week from residents and employees. In coordination with the Office of Public Health for Region 7, these teams have also performed testing in jails and prisons, assisted living centers, migrant farmer workers, and schools. Ladies and gentlemen, accepting the award on behalf of the COVID-19 strike team from LSU Health Shreveport are Dr. John Bencherry and James Robinson. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to welcome to the stage for our next group, representatives of the Shreveport-Bossier Rescue Mission, Pastor Larry and Donna Otwell. pandemic, the Shreveport-Bossier Rescue Mission was met with unprecedented challenges. While many other shelters were forced to close their doors or limit their operations regarding taking in new guests, the mission only opened its doors wider to meet more of the needs of the homeless men, women, and children. Pastor Larry and Donna Otwell felt strongly that they could not limit access to the mission. They worked to create a safer intake process and screened potential guests for symptoms of COVID-19. This included temperature checks, a health questionnaire, initial quarantine during the first 48 hours, increase of daily sanitation, and more. Thanks to their leadership, the mission experienced 0 cases of COVID-19 at their campuses and continue to serve those in need. Congratulations and thank you. We did it. So let's give one final round of applause for all of these great nominees. And now it's time for our 2020 Patriot Award winners. We have 3 overall winners to announce today. You will receive these beautiful Eagle Awards from our sponsor, Shreveport Communication. Once your name is called, we ask you remain on the stage for a group photo. So here we go. Through their leadership and care for others, more than 180,000 meals were served to Bossier Parish children during the pandemic. This person went above and beyond their job title to give back to the community. Join me in congratulating our first Patriots of the pandemic, Clarissa Stevens, Outreach Minister at North Point Community Church.
You deserve it.
Would you like to say something? You don't have to, but you can. Oh, come on, Miss Bashful.
I'm so short. I just want to say, hearing all that you guys have done in this room today, I was thinking, why am I in this room? But I think I'm in this room because I'm a part of a community of people like you. When this all happened, we could have all said whatever and made up a whole lot of excuses. But in Shreveport and Bossier, we stay on mission and we do what's needed. And so, thank you guys for being who you are.
Don't forget to stay up here for a group picture. That's right. There we go. With their dedication to prevent a mass spread of the virus, this team was able to protect and defend senior citizens in local nursing homes. Because of their quick response and hard work, many lives are saved. Our second Patriots of the pandemic is the LSU Health Shreveport COVID-19 Surveillance Strike Team.
Would you like to say something?
It's an honor to accept this award on behalf of our strike teams, literally hundreds of nurses and students and EMTs and paramedics who have worked with us over the past 5 months. We started April 24th in 3 or 4 nursing homes and now in over 44 nursing homes in our state, all in Northwest Louisiana. The really difficult thing is that, I guess paraphrasing Winston Churchill, this is not the beginning of the end. It might be the end of the beginning. We've got a long ways to go. And so I thank our administration, our leaders of our school, and leaders in our public health service and throughout our state, because without their support, none of this would have been possible. And we've got a long ways to go. Our parents and grandparents in nursing homes are the most vulnerable. And our nation passed 200,000 deaths this year due to COVID-19 already. And more than half of those are among our seniors living in nursing homes. So keep them in mind. Remember that they are our parents and grandparents. And we appreciate your support in this endeavor. Thank you.
Congratulations. This Patriot used their innovation to help service industry workers affected by the pandemic. In total, they were able to raise about $20,000 for local service staff, helping them survive these difficult times. Our third Patriot of the pandemic is Bob Timms. Come on, that's fine, come on. We are so proud of you. Thank you for sharing your son with our community.
I don't know where to start. Thank you. Thank you. It's such a blessing to have a son that does these things. It means a whole lot. And thank you for the community for letting him achieve this. Thank you.
So while they're getting positioned up here for a group picture, Katie will help position Dina and Jessica. Where do you want them? Get our sponsor up here, and then yes, Dr. White, if you'll make your way to the stage, we'll get one with just all of our sponsors, and then we're going to add you to the photo as well.
She's going to stand in my stead.
That's okay.
Our award winners.
Yes. Where do you go?
See you again. Thank you. Appreciate your research. Very inspirational.
Smile for a long time. Smiles. Look with your eyes. Okay, Dr. White, will you please join them? Go ahead and stand by. Yes. Go ahead by the doctor, please. No, I do not want you. No, ma'am. Okay, let's give one last round of applause for all of our finalists and our 2020 Patriot Award winners. So together we have honored a great group of community leaders and heroes today, and it has just been a pleasure to have all of you here. And we have socially distanced. We made sure we could do something in person, something that was safe, so that we could meet you all and to say thank you in person. And again, thank you to our sponsors, and I'll give the last word to our chairman. I told him I'm now going to call him our pandemic chairman. Very regular.
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa. And a round of applause for Lisa. This the heavy lifting up here. Lots and lots of names, lots of ranks and titles, and it's not easy to do. But again, thank you to everybody for being here today. It was really important to us to see if we could we've all done a lot of Zoom and a lot of webinars and things like that, but there's nothing like getting together and appreciating people in person. So thank you for coming today, and be safe and enjoy the rest of your day.
This afternoon, I talked to